Welcome to another episode of Those Muckrakers, episode 35. I'm Pete.
Indeed. And I'm Pat.
Yeah, I can't actually back that up. I don't know if you can listen in HD, but I'd like to imagine.
This is in HD then. You got to do like President Trump. If you say the wrong thing or mess up, just be like, no, I meant to say there were people suffering and people trafficking. Okay?
You know,
Sad.
I hate this because I used to joke all the time when people would get in trouble for like scandals and the politician would be on stage in front of his crying family and go, I'm very sorry that I slept with hookers and I did cocaine and I did lots of other drugs too and I paid for it with taxpayer money and I hope I am very sorry. And I was always like, man, if one of these dudes would just come out here and be like, listen, y'all, I love hookers and cocaine. What do you want? It's all right, all right, all right. Like, I'm like, that dude would be president. And then, indeed, that dude became president. So, even from a young age, my political instincts were spot on.
But, I mean, even in your scenario, that guy's honest. Trump would go out there onto the stage and be like, okay, people, there was no coke, all right? It was there when I got there. The hookers were doing it, and I didn't pay for them, okay? Because I don't have to pay for hookers. They paid for me, in fact. They paid $100 a head. Okay? Sad.
So, to start us out in the news today, Trump went and spoke before the UN, and
it is insane that this week has been such a shit tornado that I almost forgot that happened this week. That happened 2 days ago, right? Like less than 48 hours ago, I think.
It's already
he was
buried,
out there on stage. Yeah, and it's gone because of yesterday and today.
Well, he did the thing he does with his base where he goes, you know what, I've achieved probably more than any president in history. And, like, all the European countries just started laughing. All the UN, like all the countries of the world started laughing.
Very quick setup. Our president, sadly, had to give a speech before the UN. He was slated to speak second, but he's a slow, petulant motherfucker who showed up very late, and so they put on several other countries before him, and so he waddles out there onto the stage, gets behind it, and he starts to talk like he's at a Trump rally. He's like, I've done more in my year and a half than any other president has ever on the history of Earth. And he was expecting cheers and uproarious applause. Instead, he got the entire world laughing at him and laughing at us, the United States. We're the laughingstock of the fucking world. Good job, deplorables.
You know, I'm okay with that because I want him to be laughed at because nothing diminishes a human being more than them going out at what they think is their greatest moment of triumph than being laughed at.
He's denying that it was unintentional. Now, when he initially got laughed at live on stage in front of all these cameras, he said, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting that reaction, but that's okay. And then he pressed on. By the way, that's not the only time they laughed at him. Later on, he was talking about oil companies and whatever, and it pans to the Germans, and the Germans are dying laughing at him.
So our president gets laughed at by the Germans. The Germans, a historically unfunny people who don't get jokes. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like when you get used to playing to your base and then you go out there and tell some lies. It's just how it is. And that's not even the biggest thing that's been going on.
It's that's still not the end of it too, because right after the UN speech, after the UN speech, he went and he gave the press conference. Unless that's what you were getting to.
No, I didn't even think about the press conference.
Now the press conference is the most insane thing I've ever seen. Like this is 25th Amendment bait, right? Like he is begging to be removed from office because he is clearly out of his mind. He is a moron. He was out there just rambling in front of cameras and just all over the place with conspiracy theories and mispronouncing things. And what's worse is while he's doing this press conference, only the fourth one of his entire presidency, by the way, while he's doing it, he's on teleprompter and he's misreading it and he's going off it. Like this is supposed to be a tame version of him to show America after the laughingstock he was before the world. And one thing, now remember how before I said whenever they laughed at him, he's like, oh, that's not the reaction I was expecting, but that's okay. Now whenever they asked him about it during the press conference, he's like, oh, no, it was supposed to get laughs. We were all laughing together. We had a lot of fun. But you can see his orange face turn redder as he said that.
Yeah, well,
he is genuinely upset.
Well, someone brought up a good point about how insane he is. If you ever watch him at events and stuff like that, he himself never laughs.
Of course not. He has no sense of humor.
And there's
Like
something.
everything he says, he means. So whenever people say, "No, he was just joking," whenever he suggested everyone should go shoot Hillary Clinton, it's like, "No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He never jokes."
Well, like that's the thing.
Nothing you can do about it, folks. Nothing you can do.
You should
well,
always
maybe
be
Second Amendment.
always
can
be
do
aware of a
something
man
about
who
it.
never
That's
laughs.
a quote from the president.
Like, always
Yes.
beware of a man who never laughs. That's really scary. Like that shows a weird kind of like, because I imagine I'm sure we can find like pictures of it, but like I don't imagine even Hitler laughed that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like he mostly. Well, not only did he rant in public, but he ranted in front of a mirror a lot. That's how he was able to come up with like the best possible poses and whatever.
You know what?
Oh,
That's a really
while
good
he
tactic.
was-
I might start doing that to make myself a better like public speaker.
I mean, ranting in front of a mirror. It actually is a technique real speakers use.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start just going in front of a mirror and yelling German phrases.
Das Muten, das Stoten, das Graten.
So
Quote
that,
the average Trump supporter. Trump, while he was insulting every country on earth, there was just one country he complimented, lavished praise upon while he was speaking before the UN and the world. Can you guess who that is?
Was it Russia again?
Normally it would be Russia, but maybe he's upset at Putin because it wasn't Russia.
Well, who was it?
Kim Jong-un in North Korea.
Oh yeah.
The absolute worst, most brutal nation on earth, whose best citizens, like the ones that are taken care of the most, are full of parasites.
Well-
Millions of the average one die of starvation regularly, and their country can be seen in from outer space, because it's the only country on earth that's not lit up like a Christmas tree at night. It's a dark country in more ways than one.
Well, like the whole thing with like they keep reporting that like Kim Jong has the North Koreans have taken down their nuclear site because they blew it up. They blew up too many bombs in it, and it's no good. And so Trump's like, you're gonna have to denuclearize, and they're like, yeah, sure. What if we take down that missile site, the one that's all glowing and like blown up and kersplat? And he's like, very good. Like they like a mountain collapsed. Like they blew up so many bombs underground.
That's eventually why China told them to cut it out, because they were starting to collapse mountains.
So Trump also threw some like shade at China, saying that they hacked our elections.
He also complimented them a little bit. No, he said no. Wait, I got that backwards. He said they complimented him.
Oh yeah. The Chinese said they loved me because I have a very big brain.
Oh no, he didn't say brain.
What did he say?
A very big brain.
The brain that everyone has. Like they're like, what's wrong with your brain? We know what it's called. It's called the brain. Yeah, so that's like, and I'm tired of like doing stories on our president's a moron. That's why this week was so refreshing that we got to see another moron on TV.
I know, right? Oh, we kind of spoiled it earlier, but yes, we're going to be talking about Kavanaugh a bit.
We formerly called him Brett Lasagna, also known as Barty O'Kavanaugh, Barty K. And
if you're wondering, we're not doing like a racism against the Irish, but his friend released a book a long time ago, and one of the characters,
Brett O'Kavanaugh, Barty OK.
a friend of his released a book forever ago that identified a character that he knew back in his frat days as Bart O'Kavanaugh.
Well, let's start from the beginning.
Which is
Brett Kavanaugh is the nominee pushed through by the president to fill a Supreme Court vacancy left by the fat, dead, conservative a-hole Justice Scalia. The reason the president chose Barty K, Special K, was because...
I call him Special K a lot.
That's because Special K is also a date rape drug, so it's kind of a joke. So the reason that the president, he wasn't on any of the fast-track lists, there were better people than him, but the reason they chose him was because in a lot of his like past rulings, he does not believe that a president can be subpoenaed and believes that the executive office is above prosecution, which immediately Trump saw and was like, ew, that means I don't have to go to jail. I pick him. He's going to be my best friend. Right?
Yeah,
so they pick him. He's going to be nominated, and then a woman wrote an anonymous letter to, what was the senator? Was it Senator Feinstein?
Feinstein, yeah.
Wrote an anonymous letter to Feinstein going, this guy attempted to sexually assault me when I was 15. They dragged me into a room. He held his hand over my mouth to keep me from screaming.
It was as soon as he was on the short list before Trump had thumbed him.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And then his friend turned up the music so like it would be drowned out. And then eventually this woman came forward. So, we've been going back and forth. Will she testify? Will he testify? And we
Now,
finally got it.
yep, on Thursday. Now, there's a few layers to this. First of all, whenever we last recorded, uh, I'm pretty sure it was just the one woman, and I was trying to say, he's probably a serial rapist. And you're like, well, he tried to rape one woman.
Right. At that
But
point,
there's always more.
At that point, it was the only person who was accusing him was Dr. Christine Blasey Ford.
Right.
Yeah.
Since then, more have come out. They started off anonymous, and then they've gradually revealed their identities.
Yeah.
And they're making statements that would actually get them in a lot of trouble if this did go to law and it was proven
shit
wrong.
ramped up.
They're putting their lives on the line. Lives on the line.
One woman came out and said he regularly would help drug women, and then they would gang rape them. You'd see dudes standing in line outside the door to gang rape a drugged woman. Serious accusations that you can't just throw around without serious legal repercussion, which means that that they're pretty sure they happened, right?
Right.
So they went. Go ahead.
Originally, the hearing was going to happen on Monday, and then Trump was going to talk to Rosenstein on Thursday to see about firing him.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. I forgot. That was another thing we forgot about. So Trump was going to fire Rosenstein.
That was a huge thing that was going to go on. That was the big thing that the nation was talking about before every other thing under the sun happened.
Based on how badly this Senate hearing went for Trump's pick, old Special K, old Brett Kavanaugh, I'm willing to lay money down that he's gonna fire Rosenstein. It's like when you're when you're a psychopath and you have a bad day, so you come home and you kick the dog because that's the only one you can get. Yeah, Rosenstein's gonna be the dog that gets kicked.
Yeah. So a lot of people were speculating that Rosenstein had already resigned, that he had resigned orally to General Kelly, and the world held its breath. But this was, God, actually there's a few layers to this too. Taking a step back, Rosenstein was reported by the New York Times as saying that he should wear a wire to get the 25th Amendment enacted on Trump. But he didn't say that. He never said that. We finally found testimony from someone who said, no, I was there. He said it sarcastically. What do you want me to do? Wear a wire? Whenever someone was talking about floating the 25th Amendment, he said it dismissively and walked on. So Washington Post proved that the failing New York Times is fake news, right? That one article is fake news. It was probably leaked or put there by one of Trump's people to try and have an excuse to fire Rosenstein. Yeah. But frickin' CNN and MSNBC, the reason why I always say that they're not left biased, they're sensationalist biased, is because they grabbed that story and sprinted with it. And they were on it all day long, even after the Washington Post had disproven it, and they damn near got Rosenstein to resign, possibly because he was talking to Kelly about it, but then also he wasn't, and he decided to stay on and would talk to Trump Thursday. But anyway,
because if it bleeds, it leads, man.
Yeah, yep. But that meeting on Thursday, which would have been yesterday, has been postponed until next week, and we don't know what day next week.
Because Trump's going to lose he's already losing his...
He's already, according to inside sources, he's already losing his shit.
Yeah, he's losing his mind. I'm surprised that he didn't kick Kushner. You know what I mean? Come here, Kushner. I'm going to fucking kick you because I'm real mad. Kelly, hold him down. I'm going to punch him. Yeah, so they had the Senate hearing, and Dr. Ford testified first, and I missed. So my personal story.
All right. It was supposed to start on Monday, but because she was getting death threats and had to flee her home, and all kinds of other bullshit happened, it got delayed all the way till Thursday. That's
the other thing. As we get into this, you're gonna hear Kavanaugh cry about how it's destroyed his family. Ford did not have to come forward and put herself out there in the public eye like this. She knows that rape victims or victims of sexual assault are not believed. It never goes well for them. But she, my God, this woman's a patriot. She came up, put her whole life and her family's life and everything on the line to testify about this. And she got so many death threats, she had to go into hiding before the committee here or before the Senate hearing. Yeah. People are so insane that they're you're a victim of sexual assault, I'll kill your whole family. I'm gonna tweet that out. The fuck, man.
Yeah. So she came out on to the stage in front of the world on Thursday, and even though she was incredibly nervous about being there, she put on what I believe will be a testimony that will be studied by children in school for hundreds of years to come. I believe that this was a true moment in American history. Even if Kavanaugh gets confirmed, this will be something that will be remembered, because she was believable. She answered every question. She didn't shirk anything. She was never emotional. I mean, she was nervous, clearly, but she didn't lose her shit.
Right.
She didn't behave like the stereotypical libtard, right? That Trump supporters always try to pretend like people are.
She was poised, dignified, and she testified and it was great. I missed the live version of her testifying because I was at work, but I got to hear Kavanaugh on my way home, trapped in traffic, and it was both titillating and torturous at the same time.
Because Kavanaugh did come out and behave like the stereotypical libtard of.
If you look at the picture, just the pictures, he looks like those possum memes. If you've seen him going around the internet, where the possum has like its mouth open and it's just going like that's what he looks like. He looks like a hobgoblin.
He looks like a little mouse in a lot of them, and his whole face is like scrunched up towards the center, as though his nose just became a black hole, and he's going.
So
pulling all the hate together.
So to tell everybody my personal story, I stopped to grab some food at McDonald's on my way home. McDonald's was not taking cards. I had no cash, but I was stuck in the drive-thru line, not getting any food, and that's when I began to listen to Brett Kavanaugh come on and just start going, my family has been destroyed. I like beer. Beer, you like it. It's good. You drink it. Like his opening statement was like 10 minutes of him cry. And so I'm listening to it on the radio, so I can't see his stupid hobgoblin face. But I'm like, why is he? I can hear him. Who's sniffing right now? And I guess it was him taking like cry breaks. And my wife, I'm not. I've been in here. I've been in DC. I'm not at home going on dates with Susan. I'm not lifting weights my whole life. And I'm like, what is he doing? And I thought I was worried that the whole Senate hearing was just going to be him talking forever.
He was doing his opening statements, and after that they started asking him questions.
Yeah, but I didn't know how long that was going to last, and it lasted forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like crying and like talking about how unfair this is, and like.
So here's a fun fact. Someone took all the, I think it was Vox, took all the questions that both of them were asked and lined it up and had like markers for if the questions were fully answered, partially answered, or just they said nothing. And for Dr. Ford, they were all fully answered, every single question.
Yeah.
For Kavanaugh, like half of them were not answered at all.
Dude couldn't answer a single question.
He is a petulant child.
And I hated that it was run by Orrin Hatch, who, by the way, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. They're like these old like people like Orrin Hatch would be like if you were accused of a serious crime and they put you in front of a tribunal of grandpas that think you're a nice boy. You remember that?
Yeah.
When you were a kid and you would like meet somebody who was old and they had known you for 5 minutes and they would go, that one right there, he's a real nice, he's a stand-up boy. I'm like, you don't,
a good boy.
I'm like, you don't know me. Well, upon meeting me in 5 minutes, like I'm a nice boy, and now that I'm older, I think what they were trying to say was, hey, it's a nice white boy, which for these old people was synonymous with nice. But yeah, so that's kind of what Orrin Hatch did with.
He had opinions on Dr. Ford too.
Oh my God, creepy old grandpa was like,
she's really hot.
Dr.
What do you mean by that? I mean, I want to bang her.
I know.
What?
She's pleased. She's pleasing. He said this about somebody who's testifying about sexual assault. She's very pretty. She's pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
Very pleasing. Senator, God, I feel like they have to keep checking Senator Orrin Hatch to make sure, is he asleep or did he die?
Yeah, these like you said, Senator Hatch and a lot of his ilk is like if Ents ran the Senate.
Yeah,
those are ancient, but
Ents
were
the ancient
racist
trees,
rapists.
Yeah, the ancient trees from Lord of the Rings. It's a lot like if they had to deliberate on like a rape hearing, but they're also rapists. Yeah.
He's not a rapist, he's just an acorn.
And there's a lot of people that are like, well, where does this end? I go, well, I hope it ends with all people that sexually assault other people paying for their crimes.
Yeah, yeah. How about it ends there
Yeah, like that's
with justice done?
there was a and we'll get into my favorite. Senator Lindsey Firebrand Graham just it went off at one point in the hearing.
How
So
dare you people drag this man's honest name through the mud?
So
Boo!
Kavanaugh, like, he can't answer questions. They're asking him like, "Did you drink?" And he would, "Yeah, I drank. I like beer, beers." And he kind of has this almost like Kermit the Frog voice, which seems completely. That looks like it should come from him. Dr. Ford, I didn't expect the voice that Dr. Ford had.
Yeah.
She has a very just like, yes, my name is Dr. Ford. Like, I didn't expect her to have that voice come out of her. But you look at it like the little hobgoblin Kavanaugh, and I fully expected like a creepy little like, Kavanaugh the Frog here. Hey, you know what, Miss Piggy? You like beer? Okay, I like beer too. I drink beer. Okay, why am I in trial for drinking beer? Like,
This beer is Quaaludes flavor. If you'll try it, Miss Piggy.
so he's like, the investigation, like they're asking him questions like, did you drink? Yes, I like beer. Okay, did you ever drink too much? Well, what is too much, Senator? And they're like, did you ever drink to the point of passing out? Well, I went to sleep, but I didn't pass out. Like, yeah.
That was two different instances. One where a lady asked him, "Well, did you drink until you were blackout drunk?" And he's like, "What, have you?"
Yeah.
Well,
So
why? Now, have you ever drank? No, have you? Have you ever done that? Will you answer the question? Will you answer it?
yeah, he's one of my notes while I'm listening is I go, oh, you can just straight up be rude and interrupt a fucking senator?
Yeah. Apparently, and he's going to have one of the most important jobs in the land. And during his opening testimony, did you notice he also said this is all Hillary Clinton's fault?
Yeah, at one point he went on to blame. Yeah.
We know he's not going to be impartial. He is a partisan hack through and through.
Yeah, he went on to blame the Clintons and like the left conspiracy, and how they I loved his whole statement. He was like, you know what? You've tried very hard to destroy my good name. No one will blame you. You know, no one will say you didn't give it your best. But I'm not leaving. And I'm like, I don't think it's up to you. But like, he's crying. He's angry. Like, dude, you've been a judge for like 26 fucking years. Like, you've sat in long court proceedings. You should be able to keep your composure. Like, he acts like this is a surprise. Like, he's like, all right, my first day on the job. Wait, a hearing? What do you talk? I'm going to be there in 5 minutes. Oh, no. Like, that's what he acted like. That, like, somebody told him that, like, all right, you're going to start your new job tomorrow. But then all of a sudden they sprang a hearing on him. Like,
I'm white and male. Why do I have to be accountable for anything?
And he
went to Yale.
This was the most amazing political theater I have ever listened to in my life. I got home and I didn't get out of the car because I'm just riveted. I'm like, I can't leave because I'll have to run from like radio to like the internet, and I want to keep listening.
That was it. Might have been a joke, but I had heard that they were playing this on like. You know the in-flight movies in airplanes?
Yeah.
People they were playing it on that, and people weren't wanting to get up and leave whenever the planes landed because the hearing was still going on and everyone was like captivated.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me because it was crazy. Normally this shit is boring. This was insane. So he's throwing it back in the senators. He's like, they're like, have you ever passed out? No, never.
And he has charts.
Yeah, they're like,
have you drank too much? Well, I have charts, you see. What? No, how did he put it?
They asked him, they said, have you ever... He said, yeah, I probably drank too much. And they go, well, how much is too much? I don't know, consult the blood alcohol charts, you know?
He said he never drank too much. He stayed under it. It's like, well, how did you know? Oh, I don't know, check the charts. That's what it was.
So he's like, look, we all know what college is. We know what college drinking is. We know that if your yearbook, it says, like, keg stand master, that, yes, you got drunk and passed out.
Yeah, he was a member of the 100 Kegs or Bus Club, and we all know what the Devil's Triangle is.
Oh, my God, that whole part. Dude,
yeah.
So when they get to the, so they have his yearbook, where, like, one of the women that supposedly signed the note about, like, vouching for his character, a bunch of people had signed the yearbook with her name and the word alumnist under it, which meant that they had all fucked her. That was their whole, like, oh, I'm a fucking Sally alum, you know what I'm saying? And so they're like, they asked him...
She's outraged and wants her name scrubbed from the list of people vouching from him after she heard that.
They asked him about that, and he goes, "She was a colleague, we just respected her, and it meant she was one of us." So
it was, we were bragging about how many of us had dances with her.
Yeah.
Platonic dances.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember being in high school. Do you remember bragging to your male friends about how many women you danced with, Peter?
Yeah, man, I danced with so many girls, so many dances. So he's lying about that, and then I want to send them a bill of getting my car clean because I spit my drink all over my dashboard when a sitting senator, pulls out a high school yearbook and goes, "Mr. Kavanaugh, can you tell us about the Devil's Triangle?" And I lost my mind. If you don't know, to set the record straight, the Devil's Triangle is when two men have sex with a woman at the same time, or in all the holes. Like there's anyway.
Usually they're on both ends, and then they high five in the middle, making a triangle.
Triangle, or it's also known as the Eiffel Tower. Yeah. But either way, we all know what the Devil's Triangle is. So somebody went online from a congressional ISP number, by the way, because there's a Twitter bot that tracks any changes to like stuff on the internet from a congressional ISP, and changed Devil's Triangle from like 2 dudes, 1 girl to this thing Kavanaugh made up where he goes, it's a drinking game, kind of like quarters. You ever play quarters, Senator? And I was like, nope. Make him explain it. Make him talk about the Devil's Triangle. Don't let him off on. So he made up a drinking game that doesn't exist. Yeah.
What was the other thing called? Buffett?
Oh, yeah. They're like, hey, and like in the yearbook they go,
boofing.
Yeah, they go, hey, Barty K, have you boofed yet? And I guess a boof is like, it means like if you fuck somebody in the ass or whatever.
No, it means drinking alcohol with your ass.
Oh, have you drunk any alcohol with your ass? And he just, so again, he gets defensive and he goes, it was a joke about flatulence, high school flatulence, okay? It was a joke about flatulence. And I'm like,
I was a high schooler. That's all it was. Hey, dude, have you farted yet?
Yeah.
Okay,
look,
to be fair with me and my friends, that might have been something we actually say to each other. Hey, have you farted today? Why, yes, I have. I've had a really good fart. Good.
This would only work in Wesley's yearbook.
Right, that's who I was thinking of.
Oh, have you boofed yet, Waldorf? There would be nothing wrong with admitting that boofed meant like, hey, have you drunk a keg with your butt? Okay. Throw it out there. You don't have to lie about that. So he's lying about all this stuff. He's lying. Anybody that's like, I was a virgin till I met my wife in college, and I drink beer, but I drink it Fuck you, man. Come on. Really?
No, I've drinking beer extremely irresponsibly. I've been blackout drunk a few times. And if you don't know, blackout drunk does not mean that you fall asleep. It means you continue to be up and walking around and talking to people and interacting, but you have no memory of it the next day. So just like a whole swath of time is wiped out.
There was a time I drank...
Now, I didn't do it a lot and never intentionally, but yeah, I've gotten blackout drunk before.
Yeah, there was a time that I got blackout drunk.
And did not rape anyone.
Yeah.
It turns out whenever my brain stops recording memories, I do not default to rape.
It turns out when I get blackout drunk, I crawl into a drainage ditch for warmth. And then, and then somehow wake up back in a room with no shoes.
I pee in Miguel's bush and tell him like a weird story about... Quetzalcoatl. I don't remember what it was. Wait, he told me about it the next day.
All right, Senator I'm sorry, Kavanaugh, can you explain this thing here about Quetzalcoatl, the ancient Aztec? He's not an Aztec god. It was my buddy's nickname. We called him Quetzalcoatl. I have nothing to do with the Aztecs. Like, he's just a blatant liar. Like, he's lying about everything. Dude, we all know what the Devil's Triangle is. And I can't believe a senator had to go like, what is the Devil's Triangle? So, yeah, we all knew that. So he's lying, and then he tries to like, you want to talk about more stuff in the yearbook? Huh? You want to talk about yearbook stuff? Like, he's so combative. Like, it's ridiculous. And my favorite part by far, and I can't remember which Democratic senator it was, but they go, Mr. Kavanaugh, you say that you are willing to go through any investigation to prove your good name, and that's great. So right now, why don't you turn to Don McGahn, the president's lawyer, and say, Mr. McGahn, tell the president I want a full FBI investigation. If you really want an investigation, do it right now. And like, And it was great because they were like, do it. And if you want an investigation, do it. And he's like, but no, I'll do what. But Senator, the FBI doesn't reach conclusions. I'm innocent. I'm innocent. I'm innocent. Like, it was the saddest, weirdest dodge. Like, when he could have been like, if the committee wishes to recommend it to the president, then I'll go with it. That's all he had to say.
And he sat there with his lip pouted out, and he didn't say anything after a bit. After his spiel that you were just explaining, he just sort of stopped and was like, meh,
Yeah. Like,
he refused to say a word.
Yeah, so it was great. I've never seen somebody, like a senator, go after somebody that hard, and it made the Republicans so mad. This was my favorite. This was my favorite part of this. Senator, probably in the closet, Lindsey Graham from South Carolina, just goes crazy. He's just like, this is a sham. This is an ethics sham. Mr. Kavanaugh, do you feel like you've been through hell? And poor Kavanaugh seemed like he didn't know whether to shit or go blind. He didn't know what was going on. But at one point he's getting hammered, and then someone's going like, do you feel like you've been through hell? I think he was waiting for Ashton Kutcher to come out and go, Judge Kavanaugh, you've been punked. Look into the camera. But like,
that makes sense.
Graham just goes crazy, and he was just like, you know what, this is a smear job. You know what, Democrats, you want power so bad, I hope you never get it. And Kavanaugh,
God help us if you do.
Kavanaugh, when you get to the Supreme Court, you tell Sandra Day O'Connor and Clarence Thomas, you tell them I said hi because I voted for them. Like, he was so close to going like, when you get to hell, you tell them Senator Lindsey Graham sent you. Like,
Yep.
I was like,
He said it with that same inflection.
Yeah. Like he wanted, he was like, he loves the movie Tombstone, and there's a really great line from Tombstone when he's like, tell the cowboys they're finished, and when you get to hell, tell them that what was the guy from Tombstone? I can't even remember his name. Wyatt
Tell
Earp,
him that Tombstone sent you.
Tell him that Wyatt Earp sent you. Yeah. So like, he was channeling his best, his best that. But like the Democrats set this up. Like, they're so amazed that the Democrats or that they would wait until the moment when it was the most difficult to like lay it on Kavanaugh. Because look, when you want to take down somebody powerful, do you send them a notice and go, sir, I'd like to meet you on unequal terms, or do you wait till like politically, you wait till they're most vulnerable and drop the story? That's how politics is done. It's dirty, it's awful, but every side does it. Everyone does it. If you have some particularly destructive news about a candidate or a person, you look
or
at
if you just want. I was gonna say, or if you just want to be an asshole, like with Merrick Garland, like there was nothing wrong with him. They just held up the hearing for a year, and that was that. They just stole a SCOTUS seat.
But it's just partisan. It's not partisan politics. It's politics. If you're gonna drop a sex scandal story on me, you're gonna wait till like it's like right before. You're gonna wait till it's too late to sweep it under the rug. That's just like, that's smart. They're like, why didn't you do this behind closed doors? Exactly, because they wanted the world to see it. They didn't want it to go behind closed doors. They wanted it to ruin this horrible dude's chances, right? Like, right. And here's the problem. It's really hard to prove this definitively, but it seems pretty definitive for something so hard to prove.
Yeah, like, fucking, I have no doubt in my mind that he did everything he's accused of, because all of the witnesses seem, like, not only credible, but he comes off as being the type of person that would do this, because the way he was behaving in court the other day in front of the Senate, this is with 35 years of experience and knowledge that his actions have consequence, and everything else layered upon, layers upon layers of maturity over who he was when he was in college. So strip away those 35 years and get him piss drunk? Yeah, he strikes me as very much the type of person who just lost his shit and just did whatever he wanted to whoever he wanted. And laughed about it with the boys and thought that he would be immune from consequences his entire life.
Even if somehow it wasn't true, even if Dr. Ford was like, oh, I bet Kanavaugh's going to be a Supreme Court justice in like 5 years. Even if in like 2012, there was a deep state conspiracy to set this up. He's demonstrated his unfitness for the office by his conduct during this hearing.
Yes.
Nobody that acts like that should be a Supreme Court judge. You don't have the
Okay.
temperament for it. In fact, you should be taken off, like your other circuit court of appeals judgeship too. Like that should be gone.
Yep. Speaking of, the bar is recommending an
Yeah, the
investigation, so
American
he
Bar
might be
Association,
debarred.
the American Bar Association, the people that give you your legal license. The snake pit where
Yeah.
lawyers come from is like, I don't know about this snake. He's
Yeah.
kind of fucked up.
And
Like,
speaking of the law, just to be clear, because I saw a lot of confusion about this today, the Senate hearing was, again, it was just like a job interview. That's all this was.
it's
It
not
was
a,
not a trial.
yeah,
But Senate testimony can be used as evidence for a trial,
right,
and also Dr. Ford has passed polygraph tests, so that
right,
can also be used as evidence. So we
yes,
do have 2 bits of usable evidence. And one thing that was amazing was that the Republicans tried to find an unfair person who's still a woman to ask Dr. Ford all these partisan hack questions, and they wanted to find someone with the appearance of credibility, and they accidentally found someone who actually was, because even though what was her name, something Mitch, Christine Mitch,
yeah, I don't remember who they got because remember I missed that
but
part.
the well, they anyway. My point is they accidentally got someone who was credible whenever she asked Dr. Ford questions, she actually asked her good questions
Right.
that even though some of them were cruel and messed up and like people were saying, "Oh, come on." That was clearly like something that they just handed her to try to do a gotcha question with. Like uh, if you're Dr. Ford is afraid of flying, and the prosecutor's like, or I mean, the question asker is like, well, if you're afraid of flying, then why does it say here that you once flew on a plane? It's like,
Yeah, look, I,
right.
I
That's
hate flying. I'm terrified of flying. I've been on planes and I'll go on planes again. I don't like it, but if I need to get somewhere, like, and I don't have any other choice, yeah, I'll take a bunch of drinks. I'll drink like Canova and then get on a plane and then, not rape anybody.
And another question she asked her, and the person asking questions was visibly shaken by the answer. She asked her, it's like, so why is it that whenever you took the polygraph test, you didn't take it at the person's usual office? You had it at some special place, like over at this whatever state? And she said, oh, it's because I was leaving my grandmother's funeral, and but I really had to get this test taken, so I went and took it.
Yeah. Oh,
And
one
she
of,
was like, oh,
yeah, one of
oh.
Lindsey Graham's things afterward was like, and I know somebody paid for that polygraph test. Yeah, I'm sure someone did, but like,
Deep state Soros!
yeah, like whatever, she still passed the polygraph. I I'd love to see Canova on a polygraph test because I feel like we're gonna go ahead and stop this because it says that you're kind of lying, but you're also not answering questions, but even your baseline says you're lying.
Well, he would just get like really mad, and that would speed the needle up so much that it would just be like, and it would just waste ink on the paper. It's like, okay, we gotta stop this. Your heart's gonna explode.
Yeah, like I love that he
This
talked
is
about how
outrageous.
these accusations have destroyed his family. But
No, they haven't. Like, worst case, this is a job interview. Worst case scenario, he doesn't get the job and he goes back to his 7-digit income and his white picket family, perfect life. Nobody is going to remember these hearings. Certainly no one would remember it if he had just realized, oh shit, I did do this stuff. Maybe I should step down and then step down. No, this is a guy vying for power. He wants one of the most powerful seats in the land. This is a for-life appointment.
Why isn't he a better liar?
Yeah. That, like,
Dude,
Jesus Christ,
if you
I
are
mean,
lying,
Trump is so bad. This was a gimme seat, right? Like, this
Yeah.
was something that Kennedy worked out because his son, what was it? His son paid $1 million to the Trumps, or vice versa. I don't know. Anyway, there was a lot of money shit between Justice Kennedy and his son, and so he was going to step down to give Trump one more Supreme Court seat,
Yeah.
and this was a freebie, right? All they had to do was slam someone in,
All you
and they
had to-
picked the worst possible person.
all you had to do was not pick an angry rapist.
Right, and they did. And it's like, womp. Because here's the thing: if he did not finish going through committee today, the deadline for that was October 1st. If they didn't do it by then they don't get another shot till after the midterms.
Yeah, which now with the FBI investigation, it seems like I don't think they're going to be able to conclude an FBI investigation before October 1st.
Well, the thing is that the confirmation hearing is different from the Senate. Or the Senate floor hearing. So the big vote at the floor can still take place in 7 days.
Oh, so yeah.
So
But-
that's why they're giving it And this is the latest breaking news. If people aren't aware, today was like the most heart-pounding, nerve-wracking thing ever, and it was just a bunch of old people in a room on C-SPAN, like sort of dawdling around and not really doing much, because we're waiting to find out if 21 people would vote yes or no on a confirmation on the committee to see if he will have a vote before the Senate to see if he will become the next SCOTUS.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Even if he gets it, I think that he has pulled a... He's opened enough questions about his character that, like, even if he gets it, I hope that he's ruined and I hope that he's disbarred. And that's what we were talking about, too. If the American Bar Association disbars him, but then he's a Supreme Court justice, what does that mean for him?
He can still serve as a SCOTUS even without being a member of the bar, because like in a normal world that would never be allowed. But if the Republicans just want to say no, he's gonna stay there, then they can just keep him there.
Yeah.
Right? Like who's gonna remove him? He can only be impeached by 2/3 majority. They're never going to get that many to vote him out, but they can get 50 votes to vote him in, because in the event of a tie, Mike Pence casts his vote and it becomes the tiebreaker and he gets confirmed. And right now they're up by 2. Well, normally they'd be up by 2 votes. Right now they're down by 2 because Flake, who is notoriously a guy who lives up to his name.
Poor Flake. Poor fucking Flake.
He voted
Senator Jeff Flake from Arizona.
He betrayed everyone by voting yes and confirming this hearing today, but he said that he's a no, like a definite no on the hearing, unless Mitch McConnell agreed to an FBI investigation.
Well, poor Jeff.
So he pissed everyone off.
Poor Jeff Flake. He's a Republican senator from a red state, from Arizona. And I don't know why we made him our Jesus. We're like, we got to get Flake. So this, and I don't mean poor and like I really feel bad for him. He's trapped between Lindsey Graham and all of humanity, which is a bad place to be. So like, I guess he's getting into his office or whatever, and like women who are victims of sexual assault like corner him and they go, "What's up, man?
Why in an elevator?
Huh?
That was in an elevator. He was trying to get somewhere.
They're like, why do you not believe us? Why do you not think that our assaults are real or we're worth anything? They just like cornered him. And I imagine that after that, this is what I think happened. I imagine he gets into his office and like locks the door, right? And he just like he turns around, and his chair, right? His big office chair, you know, like supervillains use. You can't see it. It's facing away from him, and it slowly twirls around, and you just hear like Senator Lindsey Graham like slow clap. He goes, well, Jeff Flake. So,
well.
I tell you what, Jeff Flake, it would be real unfortunate if something were to happen to you. And then like, you know, Orrin Hatch like steps out from behind the curtains, and he's like, yeah, if you were to, you look pleasing, Jeff Flake.
We're gonna have to run a devil's triangle on him. Don't worry, it's a drinking game. Have you heard of quarters?
Like now, Jeff, listen. I'm gonna shove so many fucking quarters up your goddamn ass. They're gonna think that you're a laundry machine if you don't vote for Brett Kavanaugh. Like
if you don't boof for Brett Kavanaugh.
That's actually a great sticker. Like I boofed for Kavanaugh. Yeah. So fucking Flake, he's starting to like. I think the party is gonna start killing people. I honestly think the Republican Party is gonna be like, okay, look, here it is. You vote, or we're gonna murder you. We're gonna send Orrin Hatch to strangle you.
That's I mean, I wouldn't be too terribly surprised.
Like at this point,
that's the next best move.
How do you keep the party in line when you're like, okay, already, we're gonna nominate this rapist. Wait, I don't vote. You'll vote how we tell you, or we'll fucking kill you. Like that's gotta be like, you know, the way Saddam kept people insane, where he's like, Saddam would win like 90% of his elections, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good. That's gonna be the only way they can keep themselves in power. Like. Anyway, yeah, so, I don't know, Flake, be the hero and just, I don't know, vote and then go into hiding so Lindsey Graham can't kill you.
And they did force the FBI investigation. We have 1 week, and it's going to be a very limited scope, so I don't know if the FBI is going to be able to find anything in such a short time.
There's a bunch of people
and they're going to be strangulated and not really allowed to do much.
Well, people are already clamoring to, like his Yale classmates, that guy that wrote the book about their drinking days when he was like, Barty O'Canova. Oh, that was the other thing. So there's a character in the book called Bardo Canova, which Brett Canova, Barty K, Special K. And there was just all kinds of lewd and like, you know, like stupid like behavior.
Yeah, he got drunk and threw up in the car and whatever else.
And he goes like, they were like, Mr. Canova, was that you? And he's like, I don't know. Come on, dude, that's the worst pseudonym in the... I think maybe some of the characters are kind of based on her character traits. Yeah, the character trait of getting blackout drunk and assaulting people.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, as of right now, though, like, God, this is insane how close this is. It's 48 yeses to 52 nos automatically if he went up for confirmation right now, and it's
Yeah.
just so insane that it's divided that close along
Well, my whole
party
thing...
lines. Like, why are the Republicans being such monsters? Why do they not care at all?
It's not about monsters. It's like they have gotten themselves into a horrible place where they had like it's the same way the Tea Party came into power. If they show any kind of like willingness to reach across the aisle or consider this really awful base that they have created that supports Trump, will vote them out of office. They will lose their primaries.
Yeah, they try to say things like, I'll get primaried, and it'll be primaried by someone who really will do whatever Trump asks. What's the difference between that and you doing anything he asks now?
Yeah.
Of course, I don't mean it. I'm insincere when I do it.
They're in a desperate bid to hang on to power, and they're like, well, if I don't do it, someone's like, well, maybe you shouldn't have created this monster.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have spent all those years lying about everything to whip all these crazies up in a frenzy, believing in this alternate reality just so you can have a little bit of power.
Like, I know people lie, and, like, politicians lie. Like, there's a really good speech, or there's a really good saying by, I think it was the Kaiser, that said people with weak stomachs should not watch sausage being made or politics in action. And I agree with that. Politics is dirty. It's, like, it's always been that way. Like, back to, like... You looked at any kind of political intrigue, and it's always nasty. Like, it's never good. But the problem is, like, you have to find the line in which, like, is it just politics, or are you also destroying the institutions so you can hang on to power a little bit longer? You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's kind of what they're doing. But like either way, this hearing made me feel so good because of course I don't want Special K to be a SCOTUS, but his actions in this courtroom have proved what a piece of garbage he is, and have proven how unfit he is for the office that he's going for, or the office that he has.
And a tremendous number of people have seen this now,
Yeah.
So it's not like they can sweep it under the rug. They expected to just be able to crush Dr. Ford because they started believing their own hype, and then they got out there and had to meet reality. And like Trump being laughed at by the UN, they were all like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting that reaction."
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of there was a Rick and Morty storyboard that went out where they Rick and Morty this court case from Georgia between a judge and a defendant, where the judge was just like, you know what, you're an asshole, and the guy's like, yeah, yeah, well, guess what, I jack on white boys like you, well, I'm gonna give you more time, you want to see that again? Like, that's kind of what it reminded me of when you're like, you're a federal judge, how are you not more composed than this?
I don't even know.
I would have just, at the worst, if I was, maybe it's because I got improv skills. I feel like put me in a Senate hearing, grill me, come on, let's do it. I'm good for this.
I'm sure that at least part of it was because, I don't know, I have a lot of theories on why he would behave like that. But at the end of the day, we have to look at just what he actually did. His motivations for it completely aside. Oh, I do know that he is partially bullshitting the emotions. Like whenever I think I said crocodile tears earlier. If I didn't, those were definitely crocodile tears.
I put that on my Facebook. Yeah. Well, it's also like, they used to tell me... It
definitely was, because if you watch the video of it live, whenever... Like the very first break they go on, he stands up, then his wife stands up. They approach each other, and they sort of embrace with him putting his hand on the small of her back.
Mm-hmm.
Second break, he gets up, his wife gets up. They approach each other the exact same rate, at the exact same pace. They meet at the exact same time. He puts his hand on the small of her back. It's designed to make someone think that he's a sympathetic figure. And it was well rehearsed. It was so well rehearsed. Because the third break, the exact same action. The fourth break, the exact same action.
But not well enough rehearsed because, like, he seemed to just be unable to answer questions.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of a combination of he thought that he had this, and also he had no fucking clue what he was doing.
Yeah.
So it was his fantasy that he had prepared for versus the reality of actually being there. And this is, this is a child who's never been held accountable for anything in his life.
We were so close. We were so close to having that Andy Griffith moment, where, the old Andy Griffith style is you ask some seemingly innocuous questions, you lead the bad guy into a trap, then you get him angry, and then he blurts out all the crimes, and then like Andy Griffith's like, Yana, no further questions. And then like they're all like guilty. And we were so close to having that. He's just like so angry that like you're waiting for him to just be like, yeah, you know what? I rape people. So what? Some people deserve to be raped. No further questions, Your Honor. I believe we have what we need. Like,
and then he still passes like 51 to 50 or something.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm listening to this. This is bad TV. I've never, like, most of the time Senate hearings are really boring. Like if you listen to the Senate hearing with Mark Zuckerberg about Facebook, and the senators
that one was torture.
Oh yeah, the senators are so old and confused, and they're like, is it true that the internet is a series of tubes with the information carried by small hamsters, Mr. Zuckerberg?
Tell me, Mr. Zuckerberg, if this program is free for everyone to use, and how do you make money?
I enjoy a good butterscotch. Could you tell me your favorite flavors of butterscotch, Mr. Zuckerberg? Like,
we run ads, sir.
You're just clawing your eyeballs out. But this shit is just like, what the fuck? Like, oh my god. Yeah.
And Dr. Ford really does school these people too, because like at one point they ask her, it's like, now how can you be sure that it was Kavanaugh that night? Because because some people have been muddying the waters, like the Republicans have been paying people to say that it was them and not him.
Yeah, they're trying to have their Spartacus moment where like a guy's like, I'm the rapist. No, I'm the rapist. Guess what? Yeah, you're all rapists and you're all going down.
Yeah, but when asked about this, she said, I'm certain about that for the same reason I'm certain I'm talking to you right now. And then they're like, but that was so long ago. How can you remember that clearly but not remember other details of the night, such as who drove you to the party? And she said, well, it's because... And then she starts to name, like, brain parts.
She talks about how trauma is embedded in the hippocampus, right?
Yeah.
How traumatic events are encoded in our brain. Meanwhile, on the other hand, you've got, I like beer,
Yeah.
I like it. I still like it. Do you like beer?
Because I can tell you, I've been through traumatic events that are seared in my memory. I cannot forget them ever. If I think back to them, I can remember them clearly, like moment by moment, right?
Yeah.
But like the other details of those days, I don't remember.
I remember
like,
every time.
All of that's just faded away.
I remember every time I crashed my motorcycle, but I don't remember what I had for lunch that day.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Car crashes. I can still remember everyone that was there, everything that we said. Like right as I began to realize, oh, we're fucked. Everything just started going in such slow motion, and I can remember it so goddamn clearly. And if I think about it, I'm right back there with it happening again.
Yeah, but if they ask you, oh, what did you have for lunch that day, or what date was that, or what was on TV that morning? Like, yeah, you wouldn't know any of that because that's not what's encoded in your head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the thing is that this doctor really is a doctor of what is it? Brains? Whatever it is.
I believe she's a psychiatrist or psychologist.
She knows brains at any rate.
She's a fucking doctor. That's all. She's a goddamn doctor.
She knows how brains work. And she's able to school them on why she can remember certain things but not others. And also, you pointed out, and other people have pointed out, that in truth tellers, there's gaps in their story and holes in their memory because they're just trying to remember something that happened. They didn't rehearse a story over and over. For liars, there's no holes in their story because they rehearsed the thing over and over again.
If you talk to anybody who works on any kind of innocence project or where you're trying to get people exonerated that were wrongfully accused or whatever, or wrongfully imprisoned, it's very difficult to get innocent people off because they don't have a memorized fake story. There are gaps and holes in their timeline of events because unless you have a photographic memory, nobody goes around with like exact details, right? Whereas Kavanaugh was like, I've got calendars from 1982 that prove that I wasn't there. A, calendars don't prove anything. Also, B, I find it highly unlikely you have a unadulterated calendar from the exact time in which you sexually assaulted somebody. Also, you don't seem like the kind of person that kept a calendar. Also, can we test them for age? Is that possible?
Test them for age?
Yeah, can we like test the calendars and see if they're actually from 1982?
Or if he just doctored it. Yeah. I mean, it could easily be a forgery. It could be like he went and found a calendar and it really is from back then, but it had nothing on it, so he just wrote all this shit in. Yeah. All kinds of things could be wrong. He could have doctored it, removed stuff, tore pages out that were incriminating.
Yeah,
And also, even from what's there, there's like some really bad shit, such as Devil's Triangle written in
yeah.
the margins of some things.
It sounds like something that somebody who's lying would either make up or try to drag in. Like, and the fact that he's lying and doesn't have a better story is what makes me even madder. I'm like, you got a chance to lie about this. Lie better.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
It's
come on, man.
because his lie so far, like he started with a thing on an interview on Fox News where he said, well, I was a virgin in high school and in college and well into my adult years, and I never drank. I was a Boy Scout and I lived a perfect life, and I was working on being captain of the varsity team and top of my class.
That was his other excuse for everything. I got into Yale. You may have heard of it. It's one of the top law schools, and I got there by working my butt off. Okay, well, what does that have to do with sexual assault?
That's on the finals.
I guess so, man. That would be like, it'd be like if OJ defended himself with like, I got into the NFL by working my tail off. Yeah, but did you murder your wife?
I worked really hard. Look at all these other women I didn't murder.
Yeah. The other thing I want to talk about that was real creepy was his, and this was makes me know that he's lying. His numbers when he's like, I have a letter from 65 women that vouch for my conduct. The other day I went to the grocery store and I counted that there were 35 women who will all sign sworn testimony I did not sexually assault them. On the way home Thursday, I stopped at a Dunkin' Donuts. The lady I bought my donut from was also a woman. She'll sign a sworn affidavit that I did not sexually attack her. I'm like, who counts women like that except for a sexual predator?
Yeah. Serial killers would.
Yeah. You know what? I bet if you asked the lion, he could tell you exactly how many gazelles he'd seen that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, of course he's just being petulant whenever he says that, or maybe he's not. Like, maybe that's something deplorable's here, and they're all like, hell yeah, I saw a woman today, and I barely even raped her. So, hell yeah, this is my guy.
There's this real great Fox News thing I wanted to talk to you about. It says, New York Times slam for depicting Ford as calm and Kavanaugh as angry. Photos are the perfect liberal narrative. Well, because they're true.
What?
And if there were any photos of Dr. Ford going, you would have shown those.
That would have been all over Fox News forever.
But all the photos of her are composed. Most of the photos of him are Brett looking like a hobgoblin, just sneering, and like people in the back going, what is wrong with him?
Yep.
So yeah, it's not a liberal narrative. It's the truth.
That was a wonderful picture of like him looking like a monster and every woman looking disgusted that's sitting behind him, like glaring at him. It was amazing. It was like the Last Supper if they're all Judases.
Yeah. They're all just like, I'm going to get that guy.
Yep. Oh, my God. I'm sure there's so much we're forgetting. Trump finally weighed in just once. Like his handler, he got away from his handlers and was able to send out a tweet. And
like a toddler. He's just running around the White House with his pants off. And they're going, come back here. I'm not done changing you yet.
No, the toad has to free the mushroom. Anyway.
The mushroom is free. Mr. President, come back here and get your diaper.
He managed to squirt out a tweet all over the wall and smear it everywhere. Where in what was it? He's all like, "Oh, well, if she's really telling the truth, where's the police report from back then? Maybe she should release that so we can prove the time and day and what he did."
I'm gonna go ahead and send a theory out there that police in 1982. Okay, and this is my area of expertise. This is where I'm an expert. All right, I watch a lot of Unsolved Mysteries, the original. I watch a lot of Unsolved Mysteries. Bear with me. I watch a lot of Unsolved Mysteries on Amazon Prime. They have the originals up there with Robert Stack. I'm going to tell you a little story about cops. They didn't investigate murder very hard in 1982. I don't think that they believed that that sexual assault or attempted rape was actually a crime. Because there's so many times in like Unsolved Mysteries when they're like, the man was brutally murdered. The murderer left his license behind. Police are still unable to locate him. That's cops in the 80s. They're like, well, I guess whatever, man. I'm gonna go back to watching some Sweet A-Team or whatever they watched in the 80s. I love Mr. T. Yeah, like
I was trying to do a Mr. T impression, and all I could think of was Quagmire for some reason.
Oh, Mr. T, I pity the fool. I pity the fool who runs for SCOTUS and then sexually assaults people in 1982. I pity him.
And maybe you can help cuck a SCOTUS.
Yeah, so like maybe you can be part of a devil's triangle. Maybe you too can boof in high school. So yeah, why didn't she report it in 1982? Because they would have laughed her out of the police station. They probably would have slapped her. They probably would have like slapped her around and said, "Stop being a crazy broad."
Yeah, listen here, sweet tits. We need for you to stop being so hysterical and maybe come back when you're off your period, okay?
Yeah, that would be like asking
That
why didn't people
that would be
why
their
didn't
serious
people
response.
report like why didn't black people report like assault in like the Jim Crow era? You know, because
Yeah. Yeah.
like no one.
Well, if he was really lynched, why didn't he come to the local police force and ask them to do something about it?
because the
Because
sheriff.
the cops were there?
Yeah, it's like because the sheriff was there, like because Brett Kavanaugh was connected and like this, like they were the sons of like wealthy, prominent like DC people. Yeah. Also,
Yeah.
she's 15. You're really gonna blame a 15-year-old victim for something that a 17-year-old monster did? Like, come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus. Also, she repressed the memories for a lot of her life. So, not only would she not have had the toolkit to deal with such a horrendous situation, but she couldn't even if she wanted to.
You know, these people that have been brutally murdered in the 80s, why didn't they write the killer's name out in their own blood before they died?
Just write it on the wall like Spartacus.
Yeah.
I've never seen Spartacus, but I'm assuming that's how it went.
I can tell that you've never seen Spartacus by your complete lack of understanding of the movie.
Oh, I love you, Spartacus.
All right, well that's our episode for today, man. Check back in
Spartacus can't get away from Eustis T. Augustus.
Check back in with us next week when we have a new rapist on the Supreme Court, or maybe we've delayed it until we can find somebody that's not awful.
And maybe you can help solve a devil's triangle.